Welcome back to Wine and Dine, the show about great food, great wine, and entertaining. So in this tasty edition brought to you by the SaltWire Network, we're going to make a couple holiday treats kind of reflective of me growing up. A couple of the flavors that I remember enjoying when I was a kid. So we're going to make this kind of cross between a walnut brittle, walnut caramel. It's kind of in between, so it's slightly gooey and slightly salty and delicious. And then we're going to make kind of this coconut chocolate ball. So let's get started with making the walnut caramel. So just gonna take some walnuts, place them in a prepared pan. You know, you can chop these up. It can be like this. Then we're gonna make the caramel sauce. So pot on, gonna get it onto a medium heat. Then we're going to add in some butter. Let that start to melt down. Some sugar. You know, you could use brown sugar, you could use white sugar, some corn syrup, and just a touch of water to help break it down. And then we're gonna cook that down. Once it starts to bubble and boil, we're gonna pour it in our pan, let it cool, and we're gonna have a walnut caramel brittle kind of concoction. So we're gonna pour our caramel into the pan. Now we're gonna stir up our walnuts. We're gonna set that aside. If you want, you can add a little salt at this time, just to give it kind of that salted caramel thing. And then it'll be ready to go in 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to make our coconut balls. Into our bowl goes some softened butter, a couple cups of icing sugar, and about 3 cups of sweetened desiccated coconut. And you got clean hands, we're gonna work that in. We're going to form that into a ball. So we're just gonna work that in. After a while, once it's ready, we'll put that in the fridge. By the time half hour comes, you have kind of this kind of shape. So now we're ready to roll these up into a ball. So we're gonna take about a tablespoon of our mixture, roll it up into a nice circular ball, and we'll keep going until we're finished. So we'll put it on some wax paper, put this in the fridge, and then in about half an hour, we're ready to kind of dunk it in some chocolate and get ready for a delicious holiday treat. Okay, so our walnut caramel's ready to go. We've got our coconut balls ready to go. Now we're gonna melt some chocolate and get these finished off. So just chocolate chips. These are just semi-sweet chocolate chips. We're gonna melt these down. Once we get these melted, we're gonna do a little drizzle over top of the caramel. And then we're gonna add a little bit of shortening when we do the coconut balls. This is just gonna give it a kind of a glisten and a texture to the chocolate, and we'll finish that up. Okay, so our walnut caramel is made. Our coconut chocolate balls are made. These ones are just drying off. Thankfully, I made a little batch earlier, so what's left to do? Well, of course, have a glass of wine and try one of these treats. So what glass of wine to have? Well, this is definitely when you want to bring out the sweetness in your wine. Now, the coconut balls give us a little flexibility, you know, with that tropical coconut flavor. I think we can go to ice wine, things like a local Vidal ice wine or a Cabernet Franc ice wine from Ontario. But for that caramel, you need something that's kind of sweet and slightly nutty and mature. So my go-to is tawny port. So this is a 1996 Cojita. So that's a single vintage tawny port. I was just lucky enough to visit the property this year, so that's why I have this one. But your local liquor store should have a 10. But if you can afford it, well worth going for a 20-year-old tawny. Kind of nutty, mature flavors are going to go really well with the nuts, the caramel, and the chocolate in that walnut caramel. So I'm going to give you a toast. I know I'm supposed to have the port with the caramel, but I'm going for one of these chocolate balls. So we'll see you soon.